right. Welcome. Right. Today, we're continuing our series. I believe we are headed into chapter 13. So we've been doing quite a bit together in this one. This is a course of love. It is a channeling. Its first receiver is Mary Perron, or Mari Perron. I always get that name wrong completely. She'll just have to forgive me. And I'm going to be reading and providing an additional channelings by Jesus as they come through me. I'm Pamela Aaralyn. I'm a clear conduit and trance channel. So I noticed today he did give in this book an exercise, and there aren't many exercises in A Course of Love, but this one was really unique. So let's finish up here on the very last verse, I think the last two verses of chapter 12, and then we'll go into the exercise for chapter 13 in a minute. Insofar as announcements for today, I'm sorry, I typically forget those. Please don't forget that we have the mystical manifestation class. You know, it's different in the mystical world with manifestation, and manifestation is another word for healing, because you have to get rid of your blocks and anchors towards that, anything that's anchoring you down and holding you back from healing. And then you'll find that mystical manifestation, which is thousands of years old from mystics a long time ago, it happens fast. It's instantaneous when you get out of your own way. So you'll notice earlier this morning I put up a free little clip from a Patreon class about anchors, what they are, and the big ones, the top 5 ones that hold us back from manifestation and healing. We're going to go so much deeper into how to remove those blocks in the class on August the 7th. So if you want to join that, again, that's August the 7th. Everything is recorded. You'll get your own recording. You can go to PamelaAaralyn.com to get that. Today at 1 o'clock on my Patreon channel, we are talking about the Law of Three, and we are reading and discussing a book by Jacob Behmen. It's a 15th century mystic. We're kind of going as far back as we can with some of these modern day practices. I want you to know where they come from. So I'm a mystic that likes the old stuff. Old, new, I don't care what you call it. It all comes from somewhere, right? So I like to connect the dots between ancient mysticism and New Age and help you understand what it is you're saying every time you say law of attraction, right? And law of attraction is based upon the sacred law of three. So we're going to be discussing the threefold life of man and teaching a class on that one today. Again, that's a work by Jacob Behmen, and I'm going to be applying modern day interpretations to it. You're going to like it. Despite his 15th century old Shakespearean-like language, I will translate all of that for you, and it should be an in-depth experience. All right. So let's continue, finish up these final 2 paragraphs in chapter 12 before we go on to the exercise in oneness with other people in chapter 13, which was really simple. Okay, chapter 12, verse 24 says, while the sun's extension into an external world is quite real, it is all that is truly real within it. He means, by the way, the sun, that could be Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, all of the Christed beings that come, not just Jesus. The sun is a metaphor for all of those Christ conscious beings who embodied to show us that, what that experience, how to transcend duality would be, how to remember love would be. So that's what that. So basically, when you're speaking of that, that is the only thing that's real in our entire world. Why do you think that is? He stops this here and he says, that is because the sun's extension into your world is but pure love. And that love that my Father had for me and that I have for you is the truth of your world and the only truth of your world. Anything loving comes from that and is a mirror to that. Anything else, anything that isn't love, isn't true. Okay, moving on. the book says the Son could not create unlike the Father, who created everything by extension of himself. He stops us here and says, if God created everything by extension of itself, that means nothing can be unlike Source. This means you are godly. This means you are holy, even if you have forgotten, even if you don't remember, even during the difficult times, even during confusion, even during shame, even during the healing of self-worth concerns. None of that is true. And my Father makes no mistakes. Continuing on here in this verse, it says, replace the word Father with the word creation. He said that was God's original word. That was the original word for Source, for universe, for God, for Lord. The word was creation. Remember this holy language. You'll need it in the times to come. Remember all of the holy language that is necessary for your return to love and for your remembrance of this truth of who you are. I'm going to state that again because he's asking me to. In the book, it says, replace the word Father with the word creation and see if this does not help to make the concept clear. Could creation's continuing extension of itself, its continuing creation, make less of it than what it started to be? He stops us here and says, and could you, as an extension of an omnipresent, omniscient creation, be less than perfect? No. What we call Father is but creation's heavenly face, a personification of what cannot truly be personified. He stops us here and he says, everything is changing so quickly in your world. For the first time, you are remembering. This isn't new. You are simply remembering that there is a cosmic consciousness that cannot be personified. What do you believe this does to your religions as they fall in shambles around your feet? You can't pick it back up, can you? That's okay. Pick up love. Hold that around you. Cover and clothe yourself with divine love as you return to this truth. Returning to the text, it says, you find it hard to believe creation itself can be benevolent and kind, or just another name for love, but it is. God is but creation's starting point, creator of creation, and yet creation itself. The Son and the Holy Spirit, like unto creation, proceeded from the starting point of God. God is the Son and Holy Spirit starting point as well, the creator of the Son and Holy Spirit, yet he is also the Son and Holy Spirit. Now carry this pattern forward. For the pattern of God's extension is the pattern of creation and thus the pattern of the universe. The Son extended himself into creation, and you are that extension and as holy as is he. The idea of separation only seems to have made God's Son susceptible to division. And these word symbols are all that seem to separate Father, Son, and Spirit from creation or from each other. Moving on into chapter 13, observation and experience. You will never fully understand what unity means, but you will come to feel what unity means. And this I promise you. This is what we work toward in this course. For once you have experienced the feeling of unity, you will need no understanding of it. This is all the exercises that call you to observe your body are for. They are the preparation for what is to come, the preparation for feeling that which is not of the body. Our next exercise takes this one step further and is merely an extension of the first. In this exercise, you will begin to realize that your brothers and sisters are not their bodies. He stops and says, remember, when I say brothers and sisters in this course, I mean all beings that you see, not simply your flesh and blood. In this exercise, you will begin to realize that your brothers and sisters are not their bodies any more than you are yours. This is a natural extension of observing your body in action, because as your body seems to interact with others, and as you observe this interaction, you will see yourself and others in a new light. Your body will seem more connected with those of the others it interacts with, for they will be grouped together in your observation of them. It will not be only others you observe, but yourself and others, placing you and them together where you belong. This seeming togetherness of bodies is just a first step that will take you beyond the illusion of bodies to togetherness of spirit. And as you observe, always with your heart and not your mind, and begin to include others in your observation, I ask you to concentrate on one thing only. This is a simple exercise and enjoyable too. It but calls for you to ask one thing. Ask yourself what you already know of the spirit of the person you observe. You will be amazed at the knowledge you already have and the joy it brings you to remember it. He stops here and he said, I want to bring a depth to this exercise for you. Imagine that you and a stranger on a bus stop, or you and a group of strangers waiting on the train, or perhaps you and your mother doing an argument, you and your children when you disagree, strangers and loved ones. At any point in time, place them into the arms of God together as if you are being embraced. And then, upon feeling my embrace, ask that question in the text. And here's the question. I'm going to read it again. Ask yourself what you already know of the spirit of the person or people you observe. You will be amazed at the knowledge you already have and the joy it brings you to remember it. And he stops and says, if they're a stranger, the mind will say, you know them not. Ask your heart. Gracie's meowing. Is she stuck somewhere? Okay. No? Okay. These are but exercises in memory recollection. He stops and says, true remembrance in this world of separation will require some effort in your soul. Ask again if you perceive not the truth of the answer. These are exercises in memory recollection, and the more you practice them, the more true memory will return to you. He stops and says, you will truly remember the call to love when you remember others in this exercise. You will begin to truly remember your divine heart and how in truth you cannot be separate or different from other, firstly. Secondly, you will remember that there can in truth be no other. Do not apply any effort to these exercises, particularly not that of recalling spirit. He stops and says, The mind can't effort it. It is merely a practice. Just let impressions come to you, and when they make you feel like smiling, know that you are feeling divine memory return. If, when trying to call up memory of spirit, you find your brow knitting in concentration, you are applying effort and need to cease attempting the exercise at that time. If you give this exercise just the tiniest bit of consistent practice, however, it will soon become routine for you, and you will want to continuously experience the pleasure that it brings. While you may desire to put what you feel into words, this exercise is not about putting words on feelings or using them to describe spirit. It is best to leave words off this experience, as if you do not, you will soon be ascribing some attributes to spirit and not to another, just to differentiate between them. He stops and says, you will be attempting to personify God. In this exercise, the goal is to get you beyond personifications of what a human God looks like, acts like, feels like, is like. I apologize for whatever allergy is overcoming my throat chakra this morning. I know it's annoying, and I'm trying not to do it, but it just is going to be. The purpose here is to show you that they cannot be differentiated or compared or defined in the same way you have defined their bodies in the past. He stops us here and says, you will do that and say, well, that is my mom. That is, and then the mind continues. We're having a bad relationship right now. We are relating in this way right now. I judge her this way right now or that way right now. Right? That is a stranger on the bus going to work. This is a mother with her 2 children. These identifications will be undone. Thank you all for joining me this morning. We will continue these exercises. He has a lot more to say about them, and he's going to bring you into deeper experiences with these oneness exercises the more we go through them. I hope to see you for the Law of Three, the Sacred Three exercises today, with interpretations from Jacob Behmen, a 15th century mystic, bringing that into a modern day world. I hope to see you today for that at 1 o'clock on my Patreon channel. I'll link that up for you really soon. I'll see you later.